Boker Tov, everyone. Thank you. I'm going to get started because we're already starting a couple minutes late. I know you know me, but I always introduce myself. I'm Jeanette Brownstein, and I always say I am the proud president of the fabulous Florida region because I am. I'm glad. Thank you. I am proud. I am glad to welcome all of you this morning, despite those in person. Welcome all of you this morning, including those in person and those on Zoom. Soon you'll see the whole group, but we're spotlighted. There's quite a few people on Zoom, including three of our panelists, two from overseas and one from the other side of Florida. A little Zoom protocol before we begin. Zoom people, listen up. I ask that for those of you on Zoom, if you're not identified by name on the screen, please click the dots in your box and rename yourself. And thank you for doing that now, and please stay muted. Also, questions will be answered within our time limits. Those of you on Zoom, type them in the chat and please direct them to Karen Bolina. Karen is handling our tech this morning. And now is the perfect time to thank Karen, who always makes our life easy when she handles the tech. Makes it very, very easy, and we greatly appreciate her. Just some housekeeping. The bathrooms are out of this room to the left and an immediate left in a little alcove. And feel free to step out as needed. We won't be bothered by it. We in the fabulous Florida region are very blessed, as South Florida is the home of a number of Women's League past international presidents. Today, we are happy to welcome Margie Miller back to Florida for the winter, as well as Karen. She's hiding in the back where she always does, as well as Carol Simon, who's right here, who lives locally. Both of them will be participating in today's program. And also Lori Snow, our Women's League International Vice President and International Torah Fund Chairperson, who's on Zoom, who you'll hear from shortly. I'd also like to thank Pam Schlossberg, the President of the Central Great Lakes region, for joining us on Zoom. I don't know if any other region presidents have joined yet. Now I'd like to hand the program over to Nancy, our Florida Region Torah Fund Chairperson, who has worked hard to make today very special for you. Although I know Nancy will be doing this, I want to extend a very strong Todah Rabbah to Marcy Adler and her committee for the many things they've done. For today's event, including hosting us here. Last but not least, thank you so much to Rabbi Cantor Bogomolny, as his graciousness and assistance for today cannot be overstated. Nancy, your turn.
Thank you, Jeanette, for that wonderful introduction. Todah Rabbah to everybody here. For those who don't know me, I am Nancy Goldberg, also the very proud Vice President of Torah Fund for the fabulous Florida region. I am often asked, what does Torah Fund do? Do we buy Torahs or fix Torahs? Of course, I always say it has nothing to do with Torahs. Torah Fund supports scholarship programs worldwide in the conservative Masorti Institute of Higher Jewish Learning. It is the dedicated philanthropy of Women's League for Conservative Judaism. Torah Fund has raised over $108 million in over 80 years. But does it have something to do with Torah deep down? We help our future rabbis, cantors, educators, camp directors, etc., who live by the Torah. And by donating to Torah Fund, these people are learning to live by the Torah and showing us how to live by the Torah. That is what our general campaign inspires us to do. This year's theme, all of Israel's responsible for one another. Our pins say responsibility. What can be more fitting? Please do not forget about the future in about 100 years. We all should live for another 100 years. Make sure you have a legacy. The Torah Fund Legacy is an initiative of the Torah Fund campaign of Women's League for Conservative Judaism, administered by the JTS, Jewish Theological Seminary. Also, let's finish up Spaces campaign this year. Carol, we really do want to get it done for you. And if those who don't know what Spaces is doing, it is in the JTS undergraduate resident hall. It's part of the state-of-art campus renovation designed by the world-owned architect Todd Williams and Billy Tesson. This environmental friendly area hosts new technology, an essential element in higher education, and provides access for people with disabilities, well-equipped kitchen facilities, and sections for the students to study and socialize. The Women's League Institute on Gender Bias and Harassment is the groundbreaking training course at Ziegler School of Rabbinical Studies, a safe space to discuss these topics. This form helps students identify instances of bias and harassment, enables them to build skills to deal with their challenges, whether in the workplace, synagogue, school, summer camp, or whatever their rabbi cares to take them. Our goal is to raise $200,000 to be equally split between the two schools. Carol Simon, who is here, will be happy to answer any of your questions on this campaign. I do want to give a special thanks to Jeanette Brownstein, who I could not have done this without her. She is really the one that put everything together. Also, I want to thank Ellen Jadd for all the flyers she put together. Beryl Goldberg for keeping us on track for all the monies. Mona Haas, thank you for making sure everything went out on time. And I want to thank, a big thank you to, my notes went bye-bye. I want to thank Marcy and her sisterhood, and I want to thank the Rabbi Cantor. You were awesome. Screwed my computer up, but that's okay. I'll explain that later. And I want to thank Temple Bethel for opening up their doors for us. And at this time, Jeanette, I'm giving it back to you.
So I just realized you can't see us from over this, but please mute your phones. That was a cue. Silence your phones for the morning or vibrate. Julia Loeb, the international president of Women's League, is at the conservative convening in Baltimore, but she sent us a message.
Good morning. I'm so grateful to the technology which allows me to bring greetings to you this morning while representing Women's League at the Conservative Masorti convening in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm surrounded by 500 rabbis, cantors, and lay leaders here, many of whom have benefited from Torah Fund. Now, more than ever, we need the guidance of our clergy, and I'm honored to be part of this region event to connect, learn, and celebrate our support for the 5 conservative seminaries. Responsibility is a word that carries a lot of weight in our lives, and it's so much more than just an obligation. Responsibility, as we see it, is a call to action, a commitment to something bigger than ourselves. It's not only about being personally accountable, it's about understanding that we all share the responsibility for the well-being of our broader community. This year, our theme, Kol Yisrael Arivim Ze Baze, all of Israel is responsible for one another, really brings this concept to life. It reminds us that we're all interconnected as one big family. Our actions have the power to impact not just our lives, but also the lives of those around us. In October, I had the opportunity to experience this theme firsthand during my solidarity trip to Israel with the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations. It was an incredible trip that transcended borders and connected our hearts with the people of Israel. Our mission was clear: to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Israel, showing our unwavering support during these challenging times. Over and over on our short trip, we witnessed the resilience and strength of the Israeli people. They are facing adversity with courage and determination, reminding us that our responsibility goes beyond geographic boundaries. It extends to wherever people are in need. That's the very essence of Kol Yisrael Arivim Ze Bazeh. In Psalm 96, we're instructed to sing to God a new song. And then it continues on with words we repeat every week. We have the traditional familiar words, but we're commanded to make it as a new song, full of new energy and spirit. Our job as members of Women's League and as supporters of Torah Fund has a similar quality. The way we've done things in the past needs to be cherished, but we also need to build on, energize, and renew our existing institutions. So today, let's bring that new song energy to all we do and continue to build a vibrant community of connected and empowered Jewish women. Responsibility isn't something we tackle alone. It's a collective effort where we amplify each other's actions and stand together as a powerful source for good. As members of Women's League, our shared values and commitment to educating the next generation of rabbis, cantors, and Jewish educators demonstrates our responsibility not just within our sisterhood affiliates, but also in the wider global community. Please make sure that you stay connected to your region and to Women's League by reading the weekly newsletters. If you aren't receiving them, please email Jeanette or me, and we'll make sure to add your name to our list. Today, as we celebrate Torah Fund, let's remember that our obligations extend far beyond the words of Torah. They're woven into our daily lives, our community, and the world at large. Let's take pride in our ability to make a difference through our shared responsibility. Thank you all for being part of this incredible journey, for embracing the essence of responsibility, and for exemplifying Kol Yisrael Arivim Ze Bazeh. Together, we're a powerful force for positive change, and I can't wait to see how we continue to carry these values forward in our lives and in Women's League. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia, for those inspiring words. It's my pleasure now to introduce Lori Snow, the International Torah Fund Chair, and somebody I am happy to call my friend.
Shavua Tov. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this morning and to talk about the 2023-2024 Torah Fund campaign. Kol Yisrael Avrim Ze Bazeh, all of Israel is responsible for one another. I am delighted to tell you that our current campaign donations are running about even with last year, with Creating Spaces, donations up over 60%. We continue in our founder, Matilda Schechter's footsteps. In 1918, Matilda founded Women's League to help educate conservative Jewish women and bring them together. Also, she and her colleagues took responsibility for providing housing and meals for our students at our only seminary at the time, JTS. In 1942, Doris Spiegel, Women's League president from 1928 to 1944, founded Torah Fund to ensure following generations would continue raising funds to enhance our future Jewish leaders' education. We, in turn, support the education of our future spiritual, educational, and lay leaders. Over the past 80 plus years, as Nancy told us, our volunteers followed their lead, and with your help, Torah Fund has raised over $109 million. Your Torah Fund contributions to the Creating New Spaces special project promote safe physical and spiritual spaces for our students at JTS and Ziegler. And Carol wants everybody to know, since this is her program, that the Giving Tuesday matching campaign for spaces is still open for donations, and we appreciate your support to raise the final funds as needed. We still have our matching donor, so remember, your contributions will be doubled. Also, as Nancy stated, through our planned giving initiative, the Torah Fund Legacy Society, we ensure we can meet our seminary students' needs in the years to come. May our hearts move us to bring our skills, talents, and gifts to continue the Women's League mission and Torah Fund legacy of Jewish scholarship, sustaining and strengthening conservative Masorti Judaism worldwide. Our work is even more important now in the current environment, and we could not do it without your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, for those words and inspiring and my good friend. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Rabbi Cantor Gaston, and he will do the Davar Torah, and you will hear more about him later in the program.
You sure you want me to speak? Everyone is asleep already. Come on, how are you doing? Okay. If that's now, after lunch is going to be more difficult for me. That's okay. No worries. Yes. I'm too tall. There you go. Yeah. First of all, welcome everyone to our congregation, to our community, as we call the synagogue with a heart and a synagogue with no judgment. That's what we aim to be here. And talking about judgment, we talk about this parasha, the parasha that is coming, like it started last night or last evening, last mincha, which is one of my favorite parts of the Torah. I think it's the best part of the Netflix series, which is the children of Jacob, right? When we start already now talking about Joseph and being the favorite and the rage and the jealousy, it's just amazing. And there is one part just at the beginning of the parasha, I think that brings everything what we are talking today here. I moved something here. There you go. Thank you. Everyone knows the story? Yes? Everyone watched the show, Joseph and the, yes? No? Some of you missed the original musical from Andrew Lloyd Webber? Joseph and the multicolor raincoat, right? Yeah, good. So we know the story that the brothers really had some jealousy with a lot of justification, with no questions about that. But one thing, and that's from last year, I was reading from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Lord Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Libracha, and he mentioned something about this part of the parasha, when it says that when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than anyone else, any of them, they hated him, literally. They, some people say, I hate you. Say, oh, that's a big word. Say, I don't like you, or I don't love you, or, you're not good to my eyes. But literally it says they hated him. And then the part that comes after is that what I want to focus on, which is said, Velo yachlu davro leshalom, which means, for those who know very much and a lot of Hebrew, there are a lot of translations to that. One translation could be, they could not speak a kind word to him. That's a nice translation. Then another translation could say, they could not speak peacefully to him. The third translation says, they could not speak to him on friendly terms. But later on, Rabbi Jonathan Eibschutz, he came with it, trying to get, because it's the Hebrew construction is not specifically the easiest. I'm not going to get into so much Hebrew, but he comes with this translation that says that could fit better. This says, they could not speak him to peace. Whatever translation it is, there was something, and that's what Rabbi Jonathan Sachs tried to develop in his whole writings and Dvar Torah, his Dvar Torah himself, is that they were not able to speak to him at all. They could not recognize that even the idea of speaking with him was going to be a good idea. They just couldn't. And many times it happens in our lives that we cannot speak with someone. We just put all that hatred in our hearts. And once it's in our hearts, it's very difficult to get it out. It's very, very difficult to get it out from there and to try to speak from a, I mean, if it's in you already in your heart, it's so difficult to displace it from there. And you kind of with clipot and cover, and you just have shells and layers of hatred because it's placed in the core. What is core? Core comes from core. What is core? Or the core, right? It's the heart. If it comes from the core of yourself or your essence, where your heart is, and then goes into your neshama and it starts getting over your spiritual realm, it's very difficult to try to speak with someone, even if you have something to say. So Rabbi Sachs is trying to say that it would have been easier if the brothers would come up to him instead of being silent and accumulating hatred, accumulating the rage that they had. It would have been easier to just go to Joseph and say, you know what? This is what I don't like about you. And this is what I don't like about what you're saying. And your attitude and your behavior is just, this is the way I feel about this. And most of the times in our lives, thinking about Ahava and Arevut, is that not only that we don't do that to our people, and most of you probably here, you can tell me I'm wrong, but most of you here, including myself, we have someone in our family or in our relationships that we probably have that little hatred, or we have that silence that we probably are not talking to that one because this, and that. And it has been probably for some of you, maybe a year, for some of you, maybe decades that we don't speak. Just raise hands, just show hands. You have to tell me with, which of you had some issue, with someone in your life that you have that type of sense, right? And some of you didn't show hands because I know you are aware, of other people watching you on Zoom. But I tell you what is worse. And with this, I'm going to conclude. What is worse is when that happens to our own selves. Because we're talking about the idea of Ahava, Kol Israel Arevim Ze Bazeh. It's easier to go to someone else and try to take care of someone else. But the most difficult thing in this life is to take care of your own self. And that silence also go for our own selves. Many times we look at the mirror when we wake up in the morning and the first thing we do is to criticize ourselves. We just don't love ourselves enough. That's why we do this and we do that. And sometimes we are not even conscious of what we do. But that's also means sometimes we cannot even speak in peace or peacefully to our own selves. And that's where we all need to start. Anything that happens, I can't control what's going on in Israel right now. I cannot do anything about it more than just pray and just be wishful, right? But I can control something. The only thing I can control is what I do, what I say, and what I think and what I feel. So I think that Kol Israel Arevim Ze Bazeh and Ahava, it really starts with our own selves. So let's reflect on that while you hear from my colleagues, all these amazing rabbis, and just think about, reflect on that through the day. Take the day, especially now that we are close to Hanukkah, enlighten your own selves, be real, be truthful, and try to fix whatever it is that even you don't like about yourself. Have a great morning, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. That was absolutely beautiful. Something we truly need to think about. We in Florida Region and International Women's League lost a beautiful lady this week, a very committed person, Blanche Mizell, who, since she's come to Florida, has been a member at B'nai Torah congregation. I'd like to call on Carol, Simon, and Margie Miller now to do a little remembrance of Blanche.
We've known Blanche for decades. We've watched her literally reinvent herself wherever she lived, in northern New Jersey, to Las Vegas, and to Boca Raton. Always a leader, always generous of time and philanthropy, and always with great humility. When she was in her 80s, she signed up for a leadership institute, and we asked her why? Why now? And she simply said, "You're never too old to learn." What we admired the most about this remarkable woman is that she had been a mentor to all who sought her advice, an amazing role model, and to all who knew her well, an old and dear friend.
Blanche was the epitome of a Jewish mother, activist, leader, mentor, and the true meaning of an Eshet Chayil. She was a true mensch. She was described by her family as compassionate, a good listener, caring, and above all else, a role model to live a good Jewish life, always giving back. As a sisterhood president, Northern New Jersey branch president, a Women's League vice president, Blanche was passionate about Women's League and Torah Fund. She was a guiding voice at Torah Fund cabinet meetings, helping to institute the Keter Kavod, giving level and chair of that level for many years. Blanche was also our #1 first Keter Kavod donor. She gave of herself and quietly gave dollars when and wherever needed. As Elliot Clark posted on Facebook Friday morning, he shared, "I will always recall her special smile and that twinkle in her eyes, which meant you better pay attention because Blanche had something important to say and something important to do." Blanche was a lifelong learner, faithfully attending the Women's League Institute at JTS, lectures in Las Vegas and at B'nai Torah in Boca. And Blanche, you are missed here today. May her memory forever be a blessing. May we all strive to honor her memory by sharing her love of Torah, learning,
And WLCJ with others.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol and Margie. I just want you to know that Blanche took ill actually went during Thanksgiving weekend, but before Thanksgiving, Shelley Gross spoke to her and she was actually registered to come here today. So that makes her even more missed. I'd now like to call upon Rabbi Zari Sussman and Rabbi Daniela Schuster, who are both here with us, to come join us up here together with the other panelists. Karen, if you can highlight them for a moment. We have 3 other panelists, Rabbi David Weitzman from Clearwater, Rabbi Diana Vila from Jerusalem, and Rabbi Irene Muzas-Kalpi from Barcelona. The wonders of technology. Amazing. Carol Simon's going to join us again up here to moderate the panel, the panel of 5 panelists.
Thank you, Jeanette. All right, this is a first, so how nice it is, and welcome to the program this morning, to those in the room and to everybody on Zoom. Kol hakavod to Nancy and Jeanette and the Florida Region Torah Fund Gathering for gathering this esteemed panelists from all over the world today. Thank goodness for technology. We will have the unique experience to hear firsthand about their personal experiences at the seminary that they chose to attend. So please help me welcome everybody to the Florida Region Sherry Sukel Torah Fund Study Day. So I'm going to read short bios. Rabbi Diana Vila, is Karen going to be spotlighting? Okay, thank you. So Rabbi Vila was born in Argentina. She's a graduate of the Schechter Rabbinical Seminary. She has academic degrees in philosophy, Jewish philosophy and psychology, and a research MA in Talmud. She was one of 2 senior researchers at the Center for Women in Jewish Law, until it closed in 2009. Rabbi Villa is a member of Knesset Rabbaim's Committee on Jewish Law. She's been a member of the Women's Study staff since its inception in June of 2000. And for those of us that have attended our Masorti days of study online, have been privileged to learn from her. Rabbi Irene Musas Kalpin, I hope I'm saying that right. She was born and raised in Barcelona. She graduated with a degree in English philosophy and holds a master's degree in English literature from the University Autónoma de Barcelona. She was ordained as a rabbi at the Conservative Rabbinical Seminary of Berlin, what we know as the Zacharias Frankel College, in October of 2022. While studying at Zacharias Frankel, Rabbi obtained a degree in 2019 and an MA in Jewish theology in 2022. As part of her studies, she spent the first year of her MA program in Jerusalem, learning Hebrew, Midrash, and Halakha at the conservative yeshiva, Fuchsburg Center. A week before being ordained, Rabbi Kolpe started working as a full-time pulpit rabbi at the Masorti Jewish community of Catalonia and Barcelona, Spain. Rabbi David Weitzman. Rabbi Weitzman hails from Cleveland, Ohio. He holds a BA in English literature from Cleveland State University. He received his ordination from the Jewish Theological Seminary of America in 2000, where he also received a master's degree in Hebrew letters. He was the founder and head of education at Congregation B'nai Haaretz in Garbersville, California, while working as a forest fighter. Rabbi Weitzman also served as chaplain on the post 9/11 emergency team at the World Trade Center. Currently, Rabbi Weitzman serves as the spiritual leader at Congregation Beth Shalom in Clearwater, Florida. He weaves his unique approach to Jewish meditation and connection to the natural world into his daily practice as rabbi. And here in Florida regions, he's better known as Rabbi Danny's husband. And here in the room, Rabbi Zari Sussman. Rabbi Sussman is currently working as chaplain at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. She was ordained in 2017, graduating from Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies with a concentration in halakha, Jewish law, and is fascinated by how our law is an intersection of culture, wisdom, and logic. During her year in Israel, Rabbi Sussman was a part of the Hartman Institute of Rabbinic Studies and intern at Kehilat Netzachah in Ashkelon. Originally from South Florida, she's thrilled to be back home. And Rabbi Sussman, I was at your ordination. And Rabbi Daniela Suster. Rabbi Suster received rabbinical ordination from the Seminario Rabbinico Latino Americano Marshall T. Meyer in Buenos Aires, Argentina in 2003. She obtained a degree in psychology from the Universidad de Buenos Aires in 2000 and, I have a typo here, 2002, okay. And in addition, she earned a specialization in family psychology from Machon Shilvi in Jerusalem in 2004. Rabbi Danny, as I was told you'd like to be referred to, also earned a master's in Jewish studies from the Schechter Institute of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem in 2005 and a master's in women's studies at the University de Costa Rica in 2014. She is now the co-rabbi with her husband in Temple Beth Torah Sherei Zedek here in Florida. We welcome each of you to our Torah Fun Study Day. Collectively, you have experienced learning and living at the 5 seminaries that we support through our annual Torah Fund campaign. To begin this morning, you have all been asked to present a Torah teaching on this year's Torah Fund theme. We would like to start with our scholars on Zoom. So Rabbi Kolpe, then Rabbi Villa, and then Rabbi Weitzman, and then in the room, Rabbi Sussman, and then Rabbi Schuster. Thank you to each of you.
Okay, shall I begin? So I've been told to talk about 3 minutes about אהבה וערבות כל ישראל ערבים בזה ובזה. But I would like first of all to say thank you for inviting me today, and I would like to say a special thank you to Rabino Gaston for his very special words and very inspiring words. Muchas gracias, Rabbi. And I would like to say something I shouldn't do, but I will. It's that there's somebody very special in your congregation. I can see her, and this is Helene Herman. That I know her. She's she's my my mother from the other side of the Atlantic. So hello, Helene. Okay, so this is what I prepared for today. We usually invoke this sentence, Kol Israel Arvim Ze Vazeh, that you translated as all of Israel, or you could say all the Jews are responsible for one another. When we want to encourage, as you've been saying, we want to encourage people to take care of each other. But its initial purpose was somehow different. This sentence comes from Masachet Shavuot 39a in the Talmud, which deals with oaths and how we honor the oaths we make. Hence, the Talmud concludes, of course, after a lot of discussion and occasional arguments, as Talmud, that we must be responsible for each other's oaths, because for any transgression we make individually, we might affect the whole world. This is indeed a far cry from Cain's answer to God, when God asked him where Abel was, and Cain could only answer with yet another question. Am I my brother's keeper? Hashomer achi anochi? This happens in Genesis. You would say that, wow, you go from Talmud to Genesis, but everything starts in Torah. So we go to the very first book. So Cain answers this question with another question, because what he really means is, why are you asking me about him? In his attempt to get away with his murder. I believe that the Talmud answers Cain's question, stating that we are indeed our brother's keeper, and that we should look for each other unless we want the whole world to suffer. It is not just a question of responsibility with each other for each other's sake. It is a question that might affect us all. And I may add, not only us all as a people, but our whole world. Thus, Cain's question translated into an affirmation. Yes, we are, all of us, our brother's keepers. And with that spirit, my community in Barcelona founded an association which intends to respond to the great number of Israelis who have come to Spain fleeing from these past weeks' bombings and terror attacks. We took Cain's lack of responsibility for his brother's fate and turned it into an exercise of responsibility. Cain severed his ties to his brother by killing him and spreading his blood. The Talmud expression mends those ties by creating a relationship with our fellow Jews, reinforcing what we read in Sanhedrin 37a, apropos Cain's murder. It's a famous sentence that says, anyone who sustains one soul of the Jewish people, the verse ascribes him as if he sustained the whole world. The Rambam, Maimonides, will transform that into tzedakah. Responsibility for our fellow Jews is thus linked with love, and the result of that is tzedakah. For the Rambam, tzedakah is the highest of all mitzvot, because it is a sign of the tzaddik, the righteous person. And we might not know for what qualities Abraham was chosen, or why he chose to follow God. But we do know that God says that Abraham was someone who will teach his children and his posterity to do what was right and just. And we read that in Bereshit 18:19. Therefore, tradition, teaching, and the dialogue between generations of Jews with the masters and their texts have kept us all together with the spirit of caring and taking responsibility throughout the ages and across the world. Today, more than ever. And I just want to say that I came this morning from the rehearsal of a bar mitzvah of a 15-year-old boy who didn't want to be a bar mitzvah, didn't want a celebration when he turned 13, but he wants to do it now And we thought that since October the 7th, he might say, no, I don't want to do that, or I'm too afraid, because there's a lot of anti-Semitism in Spain right now. But his mother was telling me today, the whole situation has changed him, and he's even more proud of being a Jew, and even more proud of his grandfather and of his teachings. And he wants to do it more than ever now, and especially in Hanukkah. So that's what I wanted to teach you today. And I hope you got the message from here.
Okay. Following up on Rabbi Irene. So, of course, at the beginning, as the Talmud says, the idea was that everyone is responsible if somebody else is observing Jewish law or not. But the concept of everyone is responsible or a guarantor for somebody else goes in the end much further than observant of the Jewish law. Since if one of us fails, all of us are going to fail much more than just in a ritual observance. So there is a midrash that says that if one of us says, if we make a hole at the bottom of the boat, it will just affect me. And the answer is it will make us all water come into it, and we will all end up drowning. In that sense, that when the Torah speaks about that each one of us has to be responsible from somebody else, it starts off in the famous verse in the book of Leviticus that says, love your neighbor as yourself, but the real translation should be, as I learned from my grandfather, love your neighbor, he is as yourself. That is, all of us share the same humanity, and therefore we are all responsible for one another, not just because we are similar, because that's the essence of who we are. Of course, this responsibility and this love from everyone to everybody else is always, especially towards our own people, towards the Jewish people, but it really goes for every other person in the world. We are responsible. In Hebrew, the word acharayut comes from acher, from the other. So we are responsible for others, not necessarily only for Jews. And the Mishnah says in Avot that you should judge everybody charitably in a scale of merit, give them the benefit of the doubt, and you should always be careful not to judge everyone negatively until you put yourself in the same situation. That is, do not judge another one until you are in the same circumstances, in the same situation, maybe faced with a similar temptation. Do not condemn somebody unless you are in the same position. So all of us takes us to act towards others and to be responsible for others in a way that shows that we are merciful and that we perform deeds of kindness for other people. Maimonides goes as far as to say that cruelty is reason to be suspicious of somebody's Jewish lineage. So what does it mean to love your neighbor beyond just this expression of feelings of being taking the other person into account? It means that you have to act in a way that you are not hateful to somebody else. It's like Hillel said in the Talmud in Shabbat when he was asked to tell the whole Torah while you're standing on one foot, he said not to do to somebody else what is hateful to you, that is the entire Torah and the rest is commentary, go and study. So we're supposed to imitate God and do what he would do, supposedly, in similar situations where somebody else's support is required. So how do we do this? We do this by giving to other people. We give to other people in many ways, not only by helping them in their actual material needs, but by visiting them they're sick, by comforting them when they are mourning, by helping them when they have to bury their dead, by cheering somebody who is sad or lonely, by protecting other people from injury, by working not only because we need the income, but because it can help others, by showing concern for other people's financial needs, by meaningful praise to other people, by feeling joy at the good fortune of others, by sharing good news, by welcoming guests, by contributing to the joy of those who are getting married. All of this makes us fulfill that commandment of loving other people because they are like you, and but being responsible for other people and helping other people in their times of need. This is very often very clear when it comes to helping converts who in many communities are looked down upon, or by being sensitive also to needs of widows and orphans, by being careful not to cause other people pains, or by showing people, pointing out their faults, like this is what the Talmud calls onat varim, making people feel bad about things that they did in the past, or even going into a store and telling somebody that you're interested in buying something when you don't even have money and you don't intend to buy it, by not making people feel or have certain expectations that are never going to be fulfilled. And also never to embarrass other people in public, or to accuse people falsely. All of these things make us be responsible for others, help others, being really part of the Jewish people, and in that way influencing others so they also take responsibility and help other people. This has been so strongly felt in the last few weeks here in Israel, because we've had this terrible tragedy with the war, and you could see people come together and help others, especially since it's a Jewish state, our fellow Jews, but not only, because we have 20% of non-Jews living in this country, and we try to help everybody else that is with medical issues, with social issues, with psychological issues, with other needs, even food and clothing, etc. And that has really made it very clear that these Jewish values, even if not everybody is necessarily observant in the ritual area, are still very part of our identity as a Jewish people, and let's hope that we go on doing this even when these terrible circumstances are over.
Okay, Tov, everybody. We had a visitor last week come and speak to us who was, he was a survivor of the Supernova Music Festival. And he said he doesn't want to be called a survivor, but we don't really know. He gave us a couple other Hebrew words to say, but he mentioned that he was having trouble sleeping. And so when I got up there just to conclude the program and say, good night to everybody, I said, a lot of people who came to hear you tonight, we also have trouble sleeping. And it's not just that we have bad dreams about what happened, but we're worried about the Shvuim, about the captives. So just a word about the captives. We're praying for them every day and for the rest of them to come out. And in this way, we feel Kol Yisrael, we're all connected with those neshamas and feel their trouble and feel for them all the time. So there are two basic principles about Pidyon Shvuim, about freeing the captives, that originate in the Talmud. And the first one in Baba Batra is the one that's widely accepted on the around page 8, and it says that you should go to any extent that you need to ransom off your captives. And this is the situation generally in the rabbinic literature. They're talking about people who were held captive by kidnappers who wanted money for ransom, and that you should go even so far as to sell your Sefer Torah in the town in order to redeem your captives. And of course, Rambam goes on to say this is a mitzvah rabbah. This is one of the greatest mitzvahs. And if you don't uphold this mitzvah of Pidyon Shvu'im, it's as you're violating Al Tamod Damriyacha, that you shouldn't stand idly by while the blood of your fellow is being shed. And a couple of other verses similar like that right from the Torah. The other counter argument to it actually comes from the Mishnah in Gittin in the 4th chapter in Mishnah 5, where it says that you shouldn't pay more than you shouldn't pay an exorbitant amount to ransom your captives. Why? Mipnei tikkun olam. What do they mean about tikkun olam? Is that there's a certain balance in society that you don't want to upset. So it might sound a little crazy to us, but there's a certain valuation of a human being based on what they could be sold as a slave. That's what they're talking about in the literature. But there's a certain amount, like a limit to what you would pay to ransom. If you pay more than that, an exorbitant amount, then it's just going to encourage more kidnappers to kidnap people and to hold them for ransom, and it's going to throw off the whole balance. And of course, the Talmud goes on to discuss that later on in Gittin with comments by the Tosfot, etc., who find ways to say, okay, well, if it's not a tircha for the whole tzibur, what if one person has the money and they're going to put it up? Okay, so that there are exceptions to this rule. Later on, in modern times, we are faced with this, of course, now. And since the state of Israel, the problem of Pidyon Shvu'im with our soldiers who are held captive, and now with all kinds of people, from infants to elderly, who are being held captive by a kind of enemy that's not exactly the kind that they were dealing with in the Talmud. However, there are some similarities. And there were two opinions by famous rabbis in Israel. Shlomo Goren, Rabbi Shlomo Goren from Yerushalayim, he held to Gittin that you shouldn't pay an exorbitant amount for them. It'll just encourage more kidnapping. And Rabbi Chaim David Halevi from Tel Aviv, who said, you should go to any extent. Why any extent? Because these soldiers, each one of us is like our own son and daughter who are going out there, and we're telling them, you're going to fight for us, we're going to go to any extent to bring you back. And this encourages the spirit of Achdut in Israel, that everybody is one of the same family. So we also have seen in the past many captive prisoners, actually, for criminal crimes being exchanged. And the most recent one, or the famous one that we quote, is for Gilad Shalit, where he was traded for 1,027 prisoners. And one of them was this guy Sinwar, and we know what happened over there. So it's a case of, we have to balance out what kind of danger the whole society is being put in when we make this kind of a deal with the kidnappers. And of course, we have to also understand that we're not dealing with, as said before, normal kidnappers. These are not like normal human beings. And we don't call them animals either, because it's disrespectful to the animals to call them that. There are some kind of irrational monsters. And so what we've been praying for, there was a prayer that was circulated particularly for the kids who are held captives. And in the end, we say, Lo avda tikvatenu ala nisim, that we don't give up hope on miracles, vaniflaot, and incredible wonders that are al hateva, that are go beyond what happens in the natural world. So when we were praying for the release of our captives, okay, this time it was a little bit more, reasonable. They weren't, already convicted of murder, the kinds of exchanges that we made, but we know the kind of creatures we're dealing that we're really praying for miracles, for nisim, and that's really what we're believing. And so at this time, in the spirit of Kol Yisrael Arim Zeh B'Zeh, that we're all in this together, please join me for the prayer that we say every day that ends Matir Asirim. B'yachad, Baruch Atah Adonai, Matir Asurim. May God release the captives. Amen.
Wow, thank you for such a rousing Devar. My name is Ari, and I'm going to change topics a little bit. At my seminary, our homiletics professor taught us that it's good to start a Devar with a joke. So an artist was selling her work in a gallery. A well-known critic approached her and said, "Would you like to know my opinion? Because I think it's worthless." The artist looked at her and said, "I know it's worthless, but I'll be polite and listen to your opinion anyway." The phrase Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh appears twice in our tradition. The first time in a commentary to the Talmud, Rosh Hashanah 29, it appears slightly different as this Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Lazeh. And in this instance, it means that we guarantee and take care of each other. It's twofold. We are responsible for seeing that everyone in our community has their basic needs met, clothing, shelter, food. We give tzedakah to each other, as you all are so beautifully embodying today. And as the last rabbi said, if somebody from Israel, from our community Israel, is captured, it is our sacred responsibility to go in and redeem them. The second time this phrase, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh, now appears in the Talmud is during an exegesis of Leviticus chapter 26. This chapter is part of the weekly Torah portion, Bechukotai. And that's the Torah portion that begins with a promise and a curse, that it says if we Israelites follow God's law, we're going to get rain and we're going to get blessings and all these things. And if we don't follow God's laws, we're going to get, thrown from the land and punished and all these bad things. And so this idea of like a blessing and a curse, we get punished for our sins and everything, it's a very heavy theological concept. I can't say it's not there. I won't deny it. Or rather, I can't deny that it's there and part of our tradition. In this expedition, the Talmud comes to a logical conclusion. Since all of Israel is responsible for one another and we're all going to get punished if someone from our congregation sins, it's our responsibility to warn and even to criticize each other. We are responsible for keeping each other on the path of keeping mitzvot. So I was trained as a hospital chaplain, including a multi-month rotation on a pediatric hospice unit. Hospice is when the medical team prioritizes a patient's comfort over curative care. And pediatric hospice is when that happens to a patient who's under 18. I spoke with many people who have this belief that suffering happens as a direct result of their sin, that their illness, that their child's illness is a direct result of immoral actions. As a professional, I sat with, and I honored people exactly where they are. I listened to confessions. I helped them repent according to whatever faith traditions they might have. As a human being, I was heartbroken. I truly don't believe such a cause and effect relationship happens that way. And I'm just heartbroken when I hear a parent or a patient say that. So we each have 3 minutes for this teaching, more or less, and which is not in time to get to my whole sermon on this topic, but if anybody who is not online and is staying for lunch, I'll be there, and I'm really happy to talk about it over lunch, so please come find me. I'm happy to have this conversation. I'm going to talk just the second part of my teaching. I'm just going to tie it back to the joke. And I want to talk to this idea of helping each other through criticisms and judgments that that we have, of keeping each other on the path. And I want to say, like, done incorrectly, this idea of criticisms is destructive. And it's what I'd like us to avoid. That idea that we are all responsible for each other should not translate into that we are all trying to control each other. Now, let's be honest, judging, criticizing, these things can be a lot of fun. It's a time on her way to bond with friends, to get together, to gossip, to assault someone's character and choices. The times I've gossiped and criticized for a few minutes, I feel better about myself, even superior. When I feel hurt or insecure, it's focusing on somebody else's faults relieves me. It gives me an illusion of superiority and power, albeit at another person's expense. When we are harsh and critical, we often leave the criticized person feeling defensive, hurt, and insecure. And that's not the type of community we want to be building. We need to support and strengthen each other. Rather than criticizing, let's try leading by example. If you want the person sitting next to you to be kosher and you don't think they are, speak to how much you like being kosher and why it's important to you. By strengthening our own light and being stronger people internally, we will shine and be a positive influence on others. So Ziegler, Rabbi Artson always ends his talks with, "My blessing for you is this," and I've adopted that practice. So my blessing for you at this is this: may we spend the rest of our day and our week focusing on supporting and uplifting each other. May we fully embrace this idea of love and support, ahava va'arivut. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for inviting me here this morning. I'm so happy to be here for Women's League, Torah Fan, especially Janet Brownstein and Nancy Goldberg. I'm so happy to be here this morning with you. Also, I'm so happy to share this panel with these wonderful rabbis, especially Rabbi Diana Villa. She was my teacher at the seminario. She taught me Talmud, Midrash, Mishnah, yes. So, hola, me alegro estar contigo. It's a challenge, yes, to speak 3 minutes after so many wonderful rabbis. So be patient with me. Okay, I will try not to repeat, but maybe I will repeat something. So the phrase for today is Kol Israel Arevim ze baze, meaning all of Israel are responsible for each other. I would like to share with you 2 stories. Yes, I like stories. I think the stories can explain in a better way these phrases. Okay, so first story, Diana says something about this story. There were people who were in a boat, and one of them took a drill and began to drill under his seat. His fellow passengers said to him, "Why are you doing this?" He said to him, "What do you care? I am not drilling under me." They replied, "Because you are sinking the boat with us in it." The message of this story is very clear. We are all in the same boat. If we don't help each other, all of us are in danger of sinking together. If someone doesn't care about our community, all of us could be harmed. We don't live alone. We are part of a community, and our individual actions affect everyone. This is the first story. Second story, maybe you know it from the Torah, book of Devarim, about Miriam. You know Miriam? Yes. Our hero Miriam. At some point of her life, she was affected with Sadat, a skin disease, and needed to be in quarantine. We know this word very well, yes. Fortunately, we are not talking a lot about that, but it was a hard time for all of us. So she was in quarantine, and it is written in the Torah. The Torah says, Miriam was shut out of camp 7 days, and the people didn't march on until Miriam was readmitted. Yes, I love this story, this idea. The interesting thing here is the attitude of the people of Israel. They decided to wait until Miriam was ready to go with them. She was alone for a while, yes, but she knew that her people were worried for her, praying for her and waiting for her. She was physically alone, but had a spiritual support of her people. I believe that the people of Israel's attitude towards Miriam gives us a meaningful example of what the phrase Kol Israel Arevim Ze Baze mean. We need to help and support each other in the good and difficult times. We need to remember that we are all in the same boat, and our actions have a clear impact on others. Together, taking care of each other, we can prevent the sinking of the boat. More than ever, with the health situation in Israel, we need to take care of each other, support our sisters and brothers in Israel, and they need to support us, Jews outside Israel, who are affected by anti-Semitism. Kol Israel Arevim Ze Basem. All of Israel are responsible for each other, regardless of our political position, religious observance, or ideological tendency. Thank you.
I want to thank all of our rabbis for your thoughtful insights and a different perspective of our Torah Fund theme. So now I would like to ask each rabbi this question. So many of us that are supporters of Torah Fund love to hear stories of how you came to the decision of which school to attend. What brought you to even think about attending rabbinical school and how you chose the one you did? And if you could share just one very special moment that clearly made a difference in your time at your chosen seminary. So I'd like to do the same order to keep it flowing. So Rabbi Kolpe, if you could start, and then Rabbi Via and Rabbi Weissman, and then our two rabbis in the room.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you all the rabbis for sharing today. I've learned a lot, and I would love to stay for lunch to discuss it with Rabbi Zari Suzman. Unfortunately, I'm in Barcelona. Why did I choose to go to Zacharias Frankel College? Well, it was by chance, because I attended a Reform synagogue when I decided I was attending a Reform synagogue in Barcelona when I decided to become a rabbi. Why did I want to become a rabbi? Because I had been a teacher of English and Latin for many years, and I realized that there was something missing. I didn't want to teach children or young adults to learn English, to have wonderful jobs and become and have their own house, and they become entrepreneurs and things like that. I wanted them to think. So I found that in my congregation, where I was asked to deliver the Torah, and I was making people think, I think, And it led me to start a course on discussing the Parashat Shavua in my Reform congregation. And that was, I thought, well, you don't have children. Unfortunately, we can't have children. You want to teach, you like teaching, you're more and more involved in your congregation. Become a rabbi. It's just another form of teaching and taking care of people. And this was what this is what the president of my congregation told me. And I thought, well, why not? So yeah, I will become a rabbi. And I started applying, and I applied to New York, to the Hebrew Union College, and I was accepted. But New York was very far away, and as you can see, I'm not young, so my parents are not young either. So I decided I was too far away, and the other options were Jerusalem, where I was accepted, but I couldn't go because I studied English literature and linguistics when I was 18, and I knew how difficult it was to study something in a language which is not your language, and you don't have enough command of it. So going to Israel meant to learn in Hebrew, and I didn't have enough command of Hebrew to learn. So there were two options, Berlin and London, and I love London. That's why I studied English literature and linguistics and all that. But Leobe College, I think, with all due respect, is a college that prepares rabbis to be British rabbis. That was the impression that I got. And I wanted to have a more of an international scope to become a rabbi for Europe. So I went to Berlin to the Reform Seminary. And while I was in the Reform Seminary, that Reform Seminary turned me into a much more observant person. I don't know why. And there was another seminary there, which was the Zacharias Frankel College. And I looked at the brochure, and I said, look, it's much more interesting what they're doing at the Zacharias Frankel College. And of course, the people at the Reform Seminary were not very happy with that. But I said, can I attend those classes? And I remember that one of my future colleagues, who's now a very important rabbi, and I love him very much, I knocked on the door in the seminar of Zacharias Frankel College to study Talmud with them. He opened the door. He said, what do you want? I said, I want to learn Talmud with you. No way. And he closed the door at my face. I was like, and then a person who was becoming a very close friend of mine, who was studying at Zacharias Frankel College, Rabbi Bruckner, who is originally from Colombia, told me, Rene, if you really want to learn Talmud and you really want to become the rabbi I think you want to become, you should change schools and come with me and study with me, which I think he wanted me to be with him because I play the mama there with him, but never mind. Yes, I switched. I presented my case to the Reform Seminary. I said, look, I'm not joking now. This is real. I said, look, I'm becoming more and more observant. What you're teaching me here is not enough for me. I mean, it's wonderful for a Reform rabbi in Germany, but I want to learn more. And plus, I'm becoming more observant. I need to go to the other school. They understood that very well, and I switched. And that's why I started in Zacharias Frankel College. And I'm very fond of pioneers, and I think Zacharias Frankel College was and is a pioneering school, trying to set up the standards of Masorti Judaism in Europe for rabbis, and that's where I studied. And I have to say that it was the best decision of my life. And also I want to say that the reason why I went to Berlin finally was because it's a sort of a rebellious attitude against pessimism and for tikkun olam. There was something horrible that happened there 80 years ago, and having a Masorti rabbinical seminary there was a sort of tikkun olam, trying to mend the destruction of Jewish life in Germany in a way. So I decided, against my family's wishes, to go to Germany and study to become a rabbi. And here I am.
Okay, so actually, I grew up in a modern Orthodox home. I never thought in my life as I was growing up that I would be a rabbi. My maternal grandfather is a very well-known modern Orthodox rabbi from New York. He passed away many years ago, Rabbi Leo Young from Manhattan. And that was really my model of a rabbi. I studied at the Hebrew University. I did my BA in Jewish philosophy and general philosophy, and then I went to JTS to study a master's in Jewish philosophy. But since I had never had really a chance, except for a very introductory course at the Hebrew University, to study Talmud, I took courses in Talmud there just to be able to do that, because my level of Jewish philosophy was very high from the Hebrew University, and it was very relatively easy for me to do the Jewish philosophy degree there. So it was it became a very a real long process, because I came from a home that was modern Orthodox, much more open than modern Orthodoxy today, where the expectations from the three girls were exactly the same as from my brother, except that women were not involved in ritual, because that's how we grew up. And when I arrived back in Buenos Aires after I had my BA and my master's, and the seminary in Buenos Aires really needed lecturers in the area of rabbinic studies. That wasn't my specialty, but I had taken a very high level course with Rabbi Roth, and I had learned how to deal with those sources, and I found myself teaching myself a lot of this field, which wasn't really my specialty. I had gotten the basic tools, but it wasn't really my specialty. And I started teaching everything. At the very beginning, I taught Jewish philosophy, but then I ended up teaching almost exclusively rabbinics, from Midrash through Mishnah, Tosefta, and Talmud, and Halacha, and so on. So that everybody thought I already had a doctorate in that area, which was never the area that I had studied as a main subject academically. And then I found myself in situations. I also taught the high school kids, the 11th and 12th grades. I also taught them Talmud, besides teaching the pre-rabbinic and the rabbinical school. And I found myself in situations where nobody really knew what had to be done as far as leading services and other ritual aspects. And even though I hadn't done those things because I grew up Orthodox, I knew how everything was supposed to be done. And in Hebrew, there is this expression, you know, when there is no man, you be the man. I always say, where there is no man, you have to be the woman. So I found myself leading services and all kinds of things that I hadn't really yet studied and understood what could be the halachic basis for doing this. But I found myself doing this because nobody else could do it. As a few years went by, and I was teaching all the major courses in rabbinics, and I was teaching rabbis who were being ordained, and I wasn't ordained. So I said to them, well, maybe I will also get ordained. All the aspect of Jewish philosophy, I already had a master's. All the aspects of rabbinics, I was teaching. So they said to me, okay, that's fine. You just take some practical rabbinics and we'll let you go and be ordained. In the end, I got into kind of political problems there that I rather not go into, and I did not finish at the seminario. I taught there for many years, but I wasn't ordained there. And at one point, one of my colleagues recommended that I go and study at Schechter. So by this time, I was divorced with one child, and all my family had already moved to Israel. So I applied for studies at the Schechter Rabbinical School. I didn't even have an interview. My students were already traveling there to do their last year of rabbinical studies because I had taught them before they went to Israel. And I also had a master's from JTS. So they accepted me. I didn't even have an interview. And I started studying in Israel. And I really think in Israel, it's the highest level as far as Talmud and rabbinics, because not only because it's in Hebrew, but because we have many more hours of those subjects, I think, than all of the other conservative rabbinical schools. One of the things that really gave me a certain direction was that when I was in my last year, Rabbi Golinkin needed 2 researchers in the Institute for Women in Jewish Law, And so we started together with Monique Ziskin-Goldberg, who passed away already a few years ago. We started researching, especially the issue of agunot, where we wrote a book and booklets and all that on that. And we also studied other issues of women in Jewish law. And so I became oriented in that direction, in a way becoming in the conservative movement one of the people who mostly dealt with that subject of agunot. And it's a subject that I'm still involved with because I'm the Schechter representative of the International Coalition for Aguna Rights, and I'm part of the Committee of Jewish Law at the Rabbinical Assembly of Israel, so I also write on those subjects. I know that's basically how I got there. It's nothing I would have thought that I would. I never thought I would really. Never had thought as a child or as a growing up that I would be a rabbi. But I'm a rabbi for 23 years already.
Well, I went to JTS in Manhattan, and how did I get there? Well, I was mentioned in my bio that I was one of the founding members of Kihilat B'nai Haaretz in Northern California. So I lived out in a rural area for about 12 years, and we started this chavurah. And I think there was only one family where actually both partners were Jewish, but we had like 25 members the first year and like 35 the next. It was the aftermath of that, when everybody was turned off to religion. But in any case, we were having this Hanukkah party, and I pulled out the vegetable grater, the potato grater that my grandmother, Aliyah Shalom, gave me, this rectangular thing with the square holes. And one of the women, she happened to be from Germany, she's looking at me grating the potatoes, and I'm saying, like, this is you have to have the right consistency of the potato in order for it to come out correctly. And she said, you should be a rabbi. So that was the turning point for me. I just decided, I know how to make latkes, go to rabbinical school. So I started studying a bit before I applied, and it wasn't so easy for me to get in. I had taken like a hiatus for about that amount of time from school, between high school and undergraduate. So I had to go back and start up again. And after I came out of the woods there, and I actually was leaning a little bit towards Orthodox Judaism. And when I went to apply, the same day I took my trip to New York, I went to YU and I had an interview over there. And then I went to JTS and I had an interview with Rabbi Joel Roth. So when I was upstairs, they told me he got on the phone. He was going to send me to a yeshiva in Israel to get up to speed. And when I went to Rabbi Roth, he wanted me to get up to speed also, but a different way. In any case, when I was trying to decide between which direction I was going, my uncle gave me some eitzah, and he said, "Look, you're coming to this at a older age than most of the people are in rabbinical school. There are a lot of Orthodox rabbis out there, and you should think about this. Do you want to have a family? Do you want to have kids? You have to think about it. If you're gonna, there's a lot of competition on that side, and you're raised in a family of conservative Judaism. You'll probably be more likely to make a living and have a life and find a good position that's more suited to you." So actually, my uncle and my cousins, his sons, were supporters of JTS at the time, and they still are. My uncle's passed now, but they so anyway, they had a a stake in the game, a dog in the race, and that made sense to me. And I actually was not accepted to JTS the first time around. And I got into the green room there where they put that glass of water in front of you and want to see what bracha you're gonna make. And they thought that I would be more suited to the yeshiva uptown than JTS. But they said, if you want to do a mechina year, you can, do a mechina year here and reapply. So that's what I decided to do. There were a few other people in my, mechina year. There were about 26 of us, I think, in our class, and everyone in our class took that mechina year. And just about. In any case, I reapplied, and in my interview, I had this blessing that my mom got when she was in Israel. So one time she went to Israel on a mission to see if my late father's neshama was following her around. And she went all the way up to Tzfat, and she had a friend who was, could translate for her. And while she was there, she said, "Can you give a bracha for my son, my two sons, and my daughter?" So she brings back this piece of paper that was all wrapped in masking tape. And I never saw what was inside of it. She said, "This is just from this, mystical rabbi, and it's a blessing for you." And he said to her, because she said I, was going to learn, in yeshiva, he said, "Just make sure that he goes to study with the right people." So I carried that bracha around in my backpack, in my book bag, for I don't know how many, years. And while I was doing other studies, and then came to anyway, at my interview, the second one, at the end, I took out this piece of masking tape, the bracha, and I told him the story. And that he said, just make sure that he's studying with the right people. And I said, after a year of studying here at JTS, I think that this is the right place for me. And they like that. So, and I also, I guess I was doing well enough in my studies so that they could see that I could, I could make it. And that's how I ended up at JTS. So just, I know there are a lot of things, asked for some anecdote or something that was memorable, which there were a lot of things that were memorable. But just one that comes to mind at the moment was I lived in Goldsmith. So Goldsmith housing, I think we sold the building, didn't we? But in any case, it was, student housing right next to the seminary. And in the Moadone downstairs, we had minyan every night for Mariv. And you would think that we, a whole building full of, students, you wouldn't have trouble getting a minyan. But we used to have to call people and get them to come downstairs for minyan. Sometimes we had a lot of people, and sometimes not. But that evening minyan just it was we had the theme Kol Yisrael Arivim Zeh B'Zeh, the feeling of you're living together and you're davening together was one of Achdut for me. It just felt like being really part of the community, and I'm grateful for being able to live there in Goldsmith, and appreciative to all of the supporters who allowed that to happen.
Thank you. A little taller. So yes, the rabbi that wants to eat lunch, I would happily, when you come to visit, definitely give me a call and we'll do that. That'll be a lot of fun. So I graduated college with a degree in computer science, and I worked for a long time in technology. I ended up starting my own business, and we went global. I learned marketing, customer service, accounting, all these things, and we did really well. And I got to a point where I I wanted more. I wanted to live a life with meaning, to live a life that was in service to others and to God. So I went through like about 2 years of sort of trying to figure out what that yearning was and what that yearning looked like. And I decided to, to turn over the business, to apply and go prepare to go to rabbinical school. And it was the best decision I ever made for my life. It was a stupid financial decision, absolutely ridiculous, but it was an excellent, excellent life decision. And I'm really glad that I did that. I chose Ziegler to prepare for rabbinical school because it wasn't my background. I'm not that heavy. I went to the conservative yeshiva in Jerusalem, and they have, the presidents of different seminaries come through and give lectures and, and give teachings, and they try to recruit for the next upcoming year. And Rabbi Artson really impressed me. And he talked about how mitzvot were connections to God, were tzavim, where our connections to God. And I really love that idea of living a life being connected to God and helping people connect to God and to elevate the spirit into a more holy union. When I talked to him, I said, I was still kind of business minded. So I asked the people who came, well, what is your end product? When I go through your seminary, what's the end product here? And Rabbi Artson said, I just want to turn you into a better version of you. And that's where I ended up going. Thanks. But thank you. A memorable moment while I was at Ziegler. There's a lot. Ziegler's a very memorable place, I think. So I don't know if we're still in that building, but there's a building that Ziegler, it's like the prettiest place you've ever seen. It's in Bel Air. And I don't know, California, I love Florida. I grew up here, I'm staying here, but California has the perfect weather, in the world, in the universe. I don't know, what kind of weather this is. Anyway, it was just one day after services. And so the services at rabbinical school, they're really fun, and they're campy, and people sing guitars, and it's very hippie, and it's kind of, especially in California, I don't know about New York, but it's very relaxed and kumbaya, and we commune with nature. And it was just one of those moments that you really couldn't, nothing happened, but it was just heaven on earth. It was just Ruach Kodesh. Thank you.
Okay, so I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, as you can listen to me, the accent, yes. So I grew up in a Jewish traditionalist family. I attended Jewish day school from preschool through high school. So since I was a child, I loved my Judaism classes. I love history, Tanakh, Hebrew, symbols, Jewish festivals, everything. I love everything. And I love to teach Judaism. I started with my classmates. Yes, I was like the rabbi of my classmates. I remember they asked me when we were in high school, they asked, before the weekend, they asked me to bless them to find a boyfriend during the weekend. So I was happy to bless them and say good things, encourage them. So yes, I was. But when I was a child, I didn't know that it was possible for a woman to be a rabbi. Yes, I knew male rabbis. I didn't know. Until I was 12 years old, in my congregation, I was about to be bat mitzvah. And we got a couple of rabbis. Yes, Analia Bortz and Mario Karpuch. Maybe you know them because they moved to the US. They were in Atlanta for 20 years. They now in Israel. So they were student rabbis at that time. So I knew, oh, it's good. She was a student rabbi, not a rabbi, but I knew that it is possible for a woman to be a rabbi. So immediately I wanted to be a rabbi like her. She was my role model. I wanted to be a rabbi like her, and also I wanted to have a husband rabbi like her. So two things became true. Yes, so I am a rabbi. I have been working with my husband, Rabbi Rami, for almost 20 years. Yes, first in Costa Rica, Lancaster, and now in Tamarack. So it was my dream to be like her, to have a team of rabbis. It's not only working together, it's something very special. I am blessed for that. So I was ordained in 2003. I am the 7th female rabbi in the seminario. We are not so many, so we are 13 now, and for all South America. So, and I chose seminario because it was just in Buenos Aires. I didn't think about other countries, so it was my place, and I was so blessed to study there. My memorable moment maybe is to meet my husband. So there. Okay, thank you.
So I think we have a few minutes. I don't see Jeanette or Nancy. I think we have a few minutes. If anybody, there's a hand back there. If anybody has any questions, we have a few minutes, Nancy. So if anybody has any questions for our rabbis in the room, for our rabbis on Zoom, any comments, questions?
On Zoom, there's one, Carol.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see what's on Zoom.
Okay.
Karen, go ahead.
Yes, from Elizabeth Cipher. What is the manager at JTS? Does it mean gap?
Yeah, mechina. Mechina is, yeah. Can I answer?
Sure, Rabbi.
Yeah, mechina is to prepare. So like, hachana Shabbat, preparing for Shabbat. Mechina is a year of preparation. So at JTS, they have these 5 entrance exams. And if you don't pass all 5 of them, then you're given the opportunity to take the Mechina year, and you are exempted, I think, from 3 out of the 5 as long as you get a certain score in the class. So some of the students went to, in the year before us particularly, they went to Bravenders or some yeshiva in Israel like that for a year, and it helped them. And then there's some people who just go to yeshiva in high school, and they're up to speed, and they can pass all the 5 tests and get in.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi. Appreciate it. Are there any other questions on the chat, Karen?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions in the room? There's one more online. Or any comments? Yes. Yeah, so that was a huge yasha co-op for putting this program together. Thank you. And there was another hand over there. Yes.
And she's in Barcelona, and we do know that the 20% of Spain is Jewish DNA, but there really weren't any Jews there after the Holocaust, after the so I'd be curious what her background is, whether she is dealing with, where her parents came from, and if she does come across converso Jews there who want to go back. That's something that she's come for.
Okay, Rabbi. Okay, right. Rabbi Kolpe, I don't know if you heard that, but there's just a question about the converso Jews in Spain. If you have members in your congregation or your own backgrounds, if you can give us a little information about that.
Yeah, sure. I converted to Judaism. First of all, because I was always attracted to Judaism, and when I was around about 30, I attended a course in about Judaism in the university. It was a month course that in the summer, and I found when we were dealing with kashrut that I had no idea of, because you have to imagine that Spain and the Jewish community has been very much closed and not open to the the rest of the citizenship. So I was very attracted to it. I didn't say why, because when until I was 10, I was attending it was not a Jewish school in Barcelona because there were none, but it was at that time, it was the school where all the Jewish kids from Barcelona went to. Why did I attend that school? Because my father and my mother, both of them were teachers there. So I attended that school, and I had this connection with Judaism. So I thought I was a Jew, because at home my parents were not Christians. They are completely secular, no religion at home. So I thought I was a Jew, and then I found out that no, I'm not. But when I was doing the years passed, and I felt this connection with Judaism. So I went to this course in the summer at university, and when I was doing the kashrut class, I found out that my grandmother used to do something that was very Jewish, and we didn't know because we didn't even know what it was. That she separated always milk from meat, and she even had different pots for that. I asked her why. She said because that's what my mother did. I said, yeah, but why? She said because it's disgusting. It's bad luck. I said, no, it's not. It's a Jewish custom. So what do you mean? So I found out that probably I had Jewish roots, but that was not the reason why I wanted to convert. I already wanted to convert, and that added even more reason for me to I wanted to convert and to pass this legacy onto my sister, my mother, and my sister's daughters. So there are a lot of people in Barcelona and in Spain who have converted and who are trying to convert. Yes, I have people in my congregation who are converts, and the thing is that there are many people for many different reasons. One of the reasons is because they found out that they have ancestors very far away, and they always felt attracted to it. Other reasons are because it's pure choice. They have studied it, they like it, and they want to live as Jews. They have this honest feeling about it, and they convert. And now I have the honor of preparing them for conversion. And we having in June, I have the first group of people that I've prepared for conversion. And I have to say that I'm very, very strict with them. That's what they think, but deep down I'm very soft. But I show them that I'm very strict, because one of the problems that we have in Spain is that many people who convert leave the synagogue and Jewish life afterwards, and we don't know why. I have some. I might speculate with some, but that's why I'm so strict with them. But yes, we do have a lot of people who convert or choose Judaism. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Before we turn it back to Nancy, I just want to thank all the rabbis for their thoughts in teaching and for sharing their experiences of how they became rabbis.
I also want to thank all the rabbis, and I want to thank Carol, and I'm going to give a special shout out to Carol, because Carol is as my other hat, president of my sisterhood, newest sisterhood member. So we are so excited to have you, right, Ellen? All right. Oh, I mute myself. Sorry about that.
As I was scrolling, excuse me, as I was scrolling through the people online, I noticed that Diane Freegut joined us from Israel. Diane is our Women's League representative in Israel, and she helped us get Rabbi Vila, but she is an incredible person on her own. Rabbi David, did you want to say one more thing, or am I coming in late on this?
Yeah, can I?
Yeah.
So, okay, one of the questions that you had given us before is to say something about our studies in Israel.
Yes.
And I hear that Rabbi Via was from the Mahon Shechter, and something that the rabbi said was also resonated with me, which was that I think I learned the most in that year that I was there because of the format that we concentrated on the textual studies for enough time that it sunk in. And that at JTS in the normal program, there's so many topics that they're trying to cover in the curriculum that you go from one class to the next class, and that sort of really value the time that I had over there. I also wanted just to give like a kind of a shout out to 3 of our teachers that passed away just in the last couple weeks. I think it was 1 week that the rabbis Klagsburn, Frankus, and Holtz passed away, and I had Rabbi Holtz as a teacher, but Rabbi Frankus, I davened in the minyan downstairs with him, and that I understand now it's like a museum down there. Okay, so in any case, he was like the Mara Da'atra of the minyan, and he set the pace. So it didn't matter where you were in the tefillah. If you were leading, if you were the shots, he would say the Chatima out pretty loud, so you knew you were at the end. And that way, he ensured that not only did we get to class on time, but we even had a little time for breakfast. So, Alav Hashalom.
Thank you, Rabbi David, and I want to add my thanks to everybody, all of the panelists. This has been wonderful. We have more learning this afternoon after lunch. Right now, I want to call on Rabbi Cantor Garcon for something, a Gaston. Why am I saying Garcon? Gaston, and he is going to make another introduction.
Yes, very brief. I know everybody's hungry and tired of being sitting down, but I want to tell you that being in a women's league convention and party, it is a party. This is a party. I mean, I know might not feel sometimes, but it is a party. I want to introduce my wife, what we call the modern mystical Rebbitzin. Okay. I know Rebbitzin sounds very orthodox for so many people and kind of offend even some female rabbis sometimes, because I had this discussion before, but I cannot thank enough, the woman in my life, which is Marcela. I want you to come and just address everyone here. Everything that you see happening here is because of her support. And even if you see me in action many times, it is because I have her support. Without her, I can't really do anything.
Good morning, all. It is not only a pleasure to have you, but it means for us, the power of women. We are powerful, and our hearts just, when we are present, like everything shines. And I want to just acknowledge how honored we are to have you all here. Your power, your enthusiastic words, and also your wisdom, the rabbis that have shared with us your wisdom is for us a honor. And in giving some echo of the words that I've heard today, I just wanted to remind you that in the Torah, it says that we are the people of the book, I guess, the people that we are supposed to be the priests of the planet, right? So we don't take care only among us. We're here to take care of this planet. And it's by showing example, by being kind, by being honest, by being humble, by sharing what we were given. And for those that are open to receive, we're supposed to be open to give, by learning who we are and becoming the best people we can be every single time. So we're more than honored to have you. And thank you so much for giving us the honor to be with you.
Thank you, Marcel. Thank you for joining us. So I was looking for this earlier when we were talking about the fabulous Florida region. Yeah, that's from our convention. I had it hiding back here. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. Let me tell you the order. Right now, you can take a break for those of you who don't need that break. The lunches are right there on the table. Drinks and dessert are over on the other table. There's fruit and cake. There's gluten-free desserts for those of you who are gluten-free, and I know we have several. There's gluten-free crackers. It's very clearly marked over here. And that's the schedule at this point. Before I call on Karen Wolins to do the motzi, I want to acknowledge that Jody Glass is here. Jody does our fundraising. She has these fabulous Florida Region Key Poke clips. She has chains. She has the magnets that will fit this year's pin, and she has chains that will go through as well. And all of the money from that goes to scholarships for our conference, which we'll talk about a little later. So now, anything else, Jody? Okay, and Jody's going to be around at lunch. Carol Wolins, we're thrilled to have her here. She's known as the mother of our executive director, Rabbi Ellen Wolensfield, but she and herself I have learned from being on Makom B'Yachad for how many years now? 3? For 3 years. She on her own is very learned and has so much to offer. And you want to come over here so we won't see you. So I needed a bat mitzvah box too. Let's see if you can get in front of that. There you go. Okay. Well, you're going to have to look at Carol up there because she's hiding here.
First of all, regards from Ellen. When I told her I was coming to Florida, because she knew, she said, I didn't know anybody could hear me. She said, you have to go to this because I went last year at it was held at another synagogue. So I'm very honored to be here. And under the circumstances that you asked me to do Hamotzi, I'm sorry, but it's an honor to have been asked. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Okay. So for those of you who are on Zoom, the Zoom line will be kept open. If you want to go grab something to eat or chat a little bit on the chat, I have to figure out how to, if you unmute, how to not have it come through the microphone here. But at the end of lunch, Lori Sukel, Sherry Sukel, Blessed Memory's daughter, is going to present a few memories of Sherry. Lori's already put beautiful pictures of Sherry in all stages of her life around our lunch tables, but that will probably start around 12:35, 12:40, while we're going to get our lunch, and then you can join us or you can stay on the Zoom. All right. So now everything is working, yes? Okay, I have to lower this. Okay, can everyone hear me? Hear me on Zoom? Where's my sister? There she is. Hi, Deb. So formally, welcome from myself on behalf of myself and my sister Deborah, who is on Zoom. She's on vacation for her anniversary. So happy anniversary, Deborah and Steve. And I'm very happy. I can't see you here because the computer is high enough, but hi. So I've been asked to say a few words about my mom. For those of you who didn't know her, she was Sherry Sukel. I am Lori Sukel. The pronunciation of the name was changed after we moved to Florida. That was my mom's decision. And she said people had a hard time pronouncing Sukel because of the L on the end. They thought it was Suko. So it became Sukel. And that's the way probably most of you know her or knew her.
My mother was born in Albany, New York, and moved to Pittsfield, Massachusetts when she married my dad in 1952. I came along several months later. My sister Deborah came along 4 years after that, and we lived in Pittsfield until 1978, I believe, is when they sold their house and moved to Miami. And my mother became active in Miami at Temple Samuel or Olam, and then at Beth David. And then they moved to Boca, where she became active at B'nai Torah. So she has lots of bases covered. And now I am at Bet Shirah, so carrying on the tradition there in her name. She first became interested in Torah Fund through her sisterhood in Pittsfield at Knesset Israel. And it was there that I discovered, after attending Camp Ramah for many summers, that I wanted to attend the Jewish Theological Seminary, the joint program between Columbia University and JTS, the dual degree program as it's now called. And my mother was thrilled because she said, "Oh, Lori is going to marry a rabbi." If things had been different back in the late 60s, early 70s, when I first started attending programs at JTS, I might have become the rabbi myself. And unfortunately, in those days, those things did not happen. And so here I am as a proud seminary alum, but not allowed to take courses in the rabbinical school or in the cantorial school. There really was, the Davidson School wasn't around yet, but many of the professors whose names you heard mentioned today, like Joel Roth, for example, were there at the time, and I remember studying with him and many others. The reason my mom got into Torah Fund was because when I first applied to the school, there were no dormitories for women students. There were dormitories for rabbinical students. There were dormitories at Columbia for undergrad men. If you were in a dual program with Barnard, there were dorms at Barnard for the women. But the women in the Columbia JTS program had no option like that. And instead, we lived 30 blocks away at the Windermere Hotel, which was an apartment hotel on West End Avenue and 92nd Street. And 30 blocks back and forth every day always made me late for classes, but I made it and I did well. So mom decided, and Torah Fund came out with the campaign to build dormitories at JTS in New York. And I'm ashamed to say that I have never seen them. I haven't been back to the building since everything has been redone. And now I know that there are even newer dorms there, which is great to know. So that's how she got started with Torah Fund. And she used to travel first in Massachusetts and in upstate New York. Because Pittsfield is so close to the border of New York State, we were part of Empire Region before we became part of New England. And then it translated into Florida, and she used to travel all over to various sisterhoods, speaking to members. I know some of you probably had her come to your shul at one time or another if you're not local. And she raised a lot of money and she mentored a lot of people. And I stick my 2 cents in wherever I can, still supporting Torah Fund. I recently became a member of the Legacy Society so that it will continue. Yes, I know Carol's happy about that. And I made my donations to spaces too. anyhow, so I brought a lot of pictures with me. I was approached last year, Helene Yentis talked to me about putting some kind of a video together. I was not able to be here last year. And so we talked about that throughout the past many months. And so unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition. It may very well in the future. But for right now, I brought all the pictures that you saw from various stages of my mom's life, from the time that she was a young bride, first starting out, to when I was a baby. There's a picture of her when she was pregnant with my sister. There are pictures of her from high school, from her kindergarten class picture is there. And I know that a few years back, I think it was 5 years ago when we had the first presentation in her memory, that this is the 5th. Okay, so somebody was talking about Rugelach and we were talking about hospitality. And unfortunately, there are no more Rugelach in the freezer, but I still make her chicken soup. I still make many of her recipes. I still have some of her plastic containers that are labeled with adhesive tape that say what was in them at one time. I was getting out some Chanukiot this past week, and I found one that still has adhesive tape on the bottom with her writing that says Sukal on it, so that people would know, because she used to send me to school with them so that everybody could see what it was. So it's a long legacy that she leaves, and very hard for me to live up to sometimes. I do my best. And I think the fact that all of you are here and all of you who are on Zoom honoring her through the continued study of Torah and keeping Torah Fund alive, that this is making a huge difference. And I know that many times I'm reminded of her in little things that happen. Those of you who know her well and spent time with her know that in her talit bag, which is out on the table there, she used to carry around her little toothpick things that she used to floss her teeth. I was with Ellen Gall, who's the Torah Fund chairman at Bet Shira in Miami. A couple of weeks ago, she had injured herself and couldn't write. So I was filling out the transcriptions for her, sending the stuff to Torah Fund. And we went to the post office to mail everything in. And I come out to get back in the car, and there's one of those toothpicks on the ground. Every place that I go, hopefully doing mitzvot along the way, I find one of those things, and I know that my mother is watching, and I know that she's thanking me for doing the things that I continue to do in her name. And I hope that we all will continue that. So unless Deborah would like to say something, no? Okay. So thank you all. Oh, yes. Okay, for the people on Zoom, this is my mom's vest, the famous vest.
I have to take the background off.
Oh, okay. Hang on, it's coming. But that was nice.
I know, I'm doing it. This isn't my computer. It's with your. Get it? Yeah, take off the background. Anyway, for those of you who are here,
Yes.
this is how I remember Sherry when she mentored me, wearing this vest on both sides are Torah Fund pins. She was teeny, tiny. And that covered a good part of her body.
Yes.
And I remember her grabbing me and teaching me about Torah Fund. Okay, now you can do it.
Okay.
Okay, now you.
Okay,
Okay,
we're
so
showing it for the people.
Here we
on
are for the people on Zoom. Okay.
Zoom. Move it over.
Which way?
Back up,
Back up. Okay, there we go. Whoops, this way?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Now turn it around.
There we go. This is
Okay.
not easy to do.
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay,
Thank you, Sherry.
there we go. Lori.
Lord, what
And
is
God
the
bless,
matter?
God bless Jeanette. She keeps calling me
I
Sherry.
have typed
which-
Sherry's
which
name
I-
about 1,000 times in the last 2 months.
And I consider that to be the highest form of compliment.
Absolutely. Lori, thank you so much for joining us every year. And Deborah, you're online. Thank you also for joining us. Okay, I'm now going to call on Marcy Adler, the president of the Temple Beth El Sisterhood, to introduce Rabbi Cantor. But before we do, I want to tell you that since Friday, I have discovered he has lots of connections to the panelists. He had served, you're going to say this, but the congregation where Rabbi Irene is the rabbi he worked at many, many years ago. I think you went to high school with Rabbi Schuster's husband, with Rabbi Rami. He's been around, so it's welcome.
Hi, I'm Marcy Adler. I have the honor of serving as the president of what we call the Women's League of Temple Beth El. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you our spiritual leader, Rabbi Cantor Gaston Bogomolny, who will discuss the theme of this Education Day, Ahava Arevut, more love and responsibility. Before I do that, I want to take this opportunity while I'm here and you're listening to thank my committee. These women committed to coming early to help set up so everything would be ready when the rest of you got here. Those are Margie Affergan, Marion Beck, Susan Bell, and Joanne Cass. So thank you guys. And I want to thank everybody else from Temple Beth El who also came, because we had a nice turnout. Rabbi Gaston, which we call him that here to avoid having to say Bogomolny. He was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He earned his bachelor's degree in voice performance and pedagogy and a master's degree in world music. He is currently working on a master's degree in third generation therapies in Barcelona. Immediately after his bar mitzvah, Rabbi Gaston began serving congregations in Argentina. At the age of 18, he started serving as the spiritual leader of several Jewish communities in the Dominican Republic. Later, while serving as a cantor and youth director in Barcelona, he co-founded Spain's first klezmer band and founded Kef, an entertainment Jewish agency to help bring Sephardic culture back to that country. After 3 years in Spain, he moved to the United States and he served Bethel Synagogue in Omaha, Nebraska for 6 years. In 2003, at the age of 25, he became the youngest member of the Cantors Assembly. In 2008, Rabbi Gaston began 7 years as cantor with Temple Aliyah in Needham, Massachusetts, which was followed by another 7 years as a full-time chazan at Beth Torah Benning Rock campus in Aventura, Florida. In 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Rabbi Gaston and his wife Marcella, a clinical social worker, opened TAL Community Mental Health Center, a conventional and holistic therapeutic center in Miramar, Florida. Rabbi Gaston began his rabbinical studies in 2016 at the Seminario Rabbinico Latinoamericano in Buenos Aires, the same year that he began serving as professor of Nusach and Trope at the Seminario. He completed his rabbinical studies in the United States and was ordained as a rabbi in June 2023. 1 year ago, in December 2022, he began to serve as the spiritual leader of Temple Beth El here in West Palm Beach, where I believe everyone who meets him must be impressed by his energy, enthusiasm, and his musical and rabbinical expertise. I am pleased to present to you Rabbi Cantor Gaston Bogomolny.
Thank you, Marcy. Wow. I think that my mom would say that that was not enough. I see we missed half of the crowd already. It's okay. Some of you couldn't really resist to live, right? Yet? That's okay. So let's see. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Amar Rabbi Akiva. ואהבת לרעך, לרעך כמוך, ואהבת לרעך, לרעך כמוך, זה כלל גדול, גדול בתורה. זה כלל גדול בתורה. ידה לי 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 לי, ידה לי 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 לי, ידה לי 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 לי, די לי לי די די די, איי 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 איי. Okay. Lie, 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 lie. Yada lie, 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 lie. Die, 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 die. Yada die, 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 die. Yada die, 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 die. Yada die, 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 die. Ay, ay, die, die, die. Yada die, 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 die. Yada die. Yada die, 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 die. I die. So Amar Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva said, "Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha." He didn't really say it, but he quotes from the Torah. It's like what Jesus said, "Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha," and then, really quoted from the Torah as well. So what does it mean, "Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha"? Let me tell you, just 3 days ago, I arrived from an airplane and I had stuffed nose and then make my ears really, and I can't hear well. So I need you to speak louder. What does it mean, "Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha"? Yes. And what does it mean, the la 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 la? Well, that's the part that you sang louder. So what does it say, "Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha"? Let's do a practice of that, okay? So you have someone next to you. Choose your right or your left. Actually, everyone look at your left. Everyone look at your left. You have someone next to you, right? If you don't have, just move a little bit, or someone just move your tush, next to someone else. There you go. Now, can you stand up, most of you? Yes, let's do it. There you go. Stand up. There you go. Ready, go. Now, look at your left again. Okay. I'm confused. Some people need directions where the left and where the right is. Okay, look at your left. There you go. Now look all the way to the left, so you can see and you can see the back of your neighbor. And we're going to do something that comes from love, which is to massage each other. There you go. So let's give a little massage. Yeah, we all need it. Okay, don't be harsh. Don't take advantage. Just do a little bit. There you go. Try to feel your part. There you go. Try to feel the other person. You can even close your eyes and try to feel where the person's pain is. Good. We all need it, my God, Just focus on that. Yes. Try to feel what the person that you are massaging needs. Not your needs to massage, but what the other person needs, which is the most difficult part. Good. If someone is sitting down and wants to move where the people who are sitting down want to give them a massage, you can also do that as well. Good. Now we can go into turns. We're going to turn around and you're going to give massage to the other person on your right. There you go. Yes, you can also receive. It's fine. For rabbis who are always giving, it's nice to receive only. I know how it feels. If you're doing it at home, just massage yourself, or get someone, if it's in your house, But if you know you can massage yourself where it hurts in your neck, there you go. And it's not costing you any money. You don't have to fly to the Caribbean to get massage. It's just your friend from the Women's League. Very good. How does it feel? Good. Good. Everyone now just look at the front. I know you would love to continue this massaging thing. It's very good. Good, good. So, everyone look at where I am right now. Good. Now, extend your arms like this. Good. And then what we're going to do, and I'm going to take the guitar out. We are going to use our hands to go through our silhouette, our own silhouette. Did I say it right with an accent and everything? Yes, you know what I'm talking about? That's what I thought. Some people say, "Hey, Rabbi, could you just say it in the word that I understand?" So you're going to go through your body, okay? Like this. This I can show you here. You're going to go all around. You're going to touch yourself all around. You're going to feel yourself. And while you're doing it, now it's rehearsing, right? I'm doing right now. And I feel, for example, when I was going through this like this, for example, and I was going through my little overweight things, I was thinking myself, I need to do diet, right? I don't like my little gorditos, as they call it in Spanish, right? Or rollos. That means actually that there was something there that touched my buttons saying, there is something I don't like about myself. But it's about responsibility too, right? It's not just about loving myself, but it's also about what am I going to do about it? Because I'm doing nothing about it. If I have a medical condition, I understand. I'm trying my best. But if it's because I just ate, 3 pieces of cake, then I'm not taking responsibility for my own self either. So many times, again, we take responsibility for one another. I'm very, very much so in looking inward, not only loving ourselves while we are touching ourselves, right, in a very nice manner, but also the idea that if I'm around a place in my body that I'm not sure about or really like it, what am I going to do about it? Not only loving it, but also what am I going to do about it, right? And if you can't do anything, then just surrender. As simple as it is, in words, as difficult as it is to let go and to surrender to something that you might not like about yourself. So are you ready for the exercise? Good. I'm going to call my wife. She's very good on these things. Come here. We are a couple, right? So Marcela is going to demonstrate. Here. Vamos a tocarnos el cuerpo. Yeah. And then if it's some part of yourself that is touching kind of like a button so you don't like, you need to love that part and also need to take responsibility and think about what you're going to do about it. Okay? Let's do it. So hands up.
And acknowledge your brain. Do you like your brain? All right, let's go down. Do you like your eyes? Do you? What do you do with those eyes? Do you enjoy them? Okay, let's keep going and touch your skin. Do I like my skin? I love my skin. What about my nose? Let me go to my nose. I love my nose. Now let's go to your lips. I'm noticing that I love my face. Do you love your face? Like hearing some debates. I probably like that, probably don't. But then your face is what you show to the world. Did you know that what you see with your eyes is also what you are inside you? So whatever you see outside is also within you. Then it's when we say, don't criticize a lot because it's about you. Keep going down. Now let's go to the neck. I love you. Oh, really, I don't. That wrinkle right there, I don't like that. What about this wrinkle right here? Okay, probably I don't, but I still like you. You know, you're in my neck. Keep going down and honor your body by acknowledging the little fatty part. Oh, you know, you can go through your chest. Do you like your chest? I mean, we're all women, right? Okay. Oh, okay. So go to your chest. If you don't want to grab it, don't grab it, but feel it. And then, oh, I love my chest, by the way. And then go down. Now I'm going to the part that I don't love as much, which is my little belly. Oh. Touch your belly. Don't be shy. Okay, if you had kids, that's where they were. You kept them, right? Oh. So it's time to acknowledge it. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Thank you, fatty Betty. Thank you. Thank you for being healthy. Thank you for allowing me to stay in this world and bring babies to this world as well. Well, obviously the belly is not the whole thing, but you know, you can keep going and keep looking at your body down there. What about your legs? Those that you used to walk. Thank you. I take responsibility for this body. I thank you for being with me in this planet. I thank you because you're amazing. I love you. Even when you have a big belly or big butt. Some of us. And some of us don't have belly or butt. So let's go down and give yourself a body hug. There we go. Thank you, knees. How many of you know that your knees are is that the way you pronounce them? Knees? Knees? Everybody understood it? Great. So do you know that when your knees hurt is about humbleness? When your knees hurt, think of you if you are being humble, if you're having a fight of pride. All your body shows, all the pain in your body shows your emotions. If you think about it, work on it. You'll find amazing things about yourselves. So let's keep honoring it. Let's go down. And even my nails, which I made them last week. All right. So how many of you honor their body at least once a year? I invite you to honor it because this is what we have to be walking this planet. So just remember it. Thank you, Rabbi, for the honor. You may be sick. What Marcela just told you is a very, very right and truth. Our bodies are the vehicles of our neshamas. So our neshamas are the engine of our bodies, of our self, of our essence, but our bodies are our vehicles. And most of the time, we don't acknowledge it and we don't bless it. And that's something very important for all of us to do. So that means
that we need to take care of our own selves. That's already written in the Torah, also in the book of Devarim, that you need to take care of yourself first than anything else. Otherwise, the whole mention of love your neighbor as yourself, it doesn't work. Because if I don't love myself, I don't want to even know what the outcome is going to be to love others, right? So first, we need to work on our own selves. And this is a song, if you might remember Tom Paxton. Remember Tom Paxton? Anyone? Tom Paxton from the 60s? Yeah? Good. So this is a song that is by him, and someone arranged it to make it a little more Hebrewish, more Jewish in a way, but it's the same melody and it has the same concept. It goes like this. Everyone knows the words that we sing, or we used to sing, or we sing all the time. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, right? We know the song, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Good. So someone else took the same words into the Tom Paxton song. It goes like this. I will teach you. It's very simple. The words are very simple because you already know it. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo. Simple, right? Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo. Again. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo. One more time. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo. Good job. Now it's going to come a part that is, it says only Shalom, Shalom. It goes like this. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Let it begin with me. Can we try that? Shalom. Higher. Shalom. Shalom. Let it begin with me again. Shalom. Your voices. Shalom. 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 Let it begin. Let it begin with me. Now with more gusto. Shalom. Stronger. Come on. Shalom. Until you believe it. Shalom. Let it begin with me now. Shalom. Again. Shalom. Convince me. Shalom. Let it begin with me now. More stronger. Shalom. What? Shalom. There you go. Shalom. Let it begin with me. Shalom. 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 Let it begin with me. One more time. And shalom. Let it begin from the beginning. Od Yavo and Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. That will keep you awake. Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo, Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo. Shalom. Shalom. Go, Shalom. Shalom. Let it begin with me. I'm going to catch you there for a second because there's something that got me. You know, when I started to be a song leader many, many years ago, and when I went to Ramah for 5 years in New England to be the song leader in a lot of different places, something that got me, and I got to the kids saying, you need to be convinced when you sing. You need to believe in what you're saying. And most of our problems many times is that we do affirmations, but we are not convinced of the affirmations. I can say to myself, I love myself, but I don't believe it. So there's a problem with coherence there. I say something, but I don't believe that it's right, and I don't feel it either. And most of the problems with our prayers that we have, and in these worlds, and not just in the Jewish community, that we do not come up with a message with coherence, with an affirmation that is 100% right in every single part of my body and my soul and my spirit and my mind. So sometimes we say shalom because it sounds shalom. Sometimes we feel that we want, but when you put together your soul, your heart, your mind, your actions, your body, and your mouth, and your singing voice, that's when you really believe and things happen. It's called manifestation. So I want you to really believe, because we want shalom, right? Not only just in Israel, we want shalom in the whole world. We want shalom also what is called inner peace. That's why it says this song, Paxton knew it so well. Tom Paxton said, let it begin with me. It can't start with my friend. It needs to start with me. If you don't have inner peace, if you don't have inner love, if you don't have self-compassion and self-mercy and self-forgiveness,